Welcome to the Pow Wow with Mayra, where each week we bring you an inspiring person and their stories to help us discover different ways to see life and its challenges. My focus sits on being thoughtful, engaging, and entertaining. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. All right, well, Jesse, thanks for being here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Thank you. So I want to start off by asking you, who you are, where you come from, and for now, where you are right now.
Yeah, sure. My real name is Jesse Delaney Kelly. So that's where the Jesse Dale came from. I took off Kelly and made it Queens because I grew up in a neighborhood in Mississippi called Queens. I spent most of my life there. Actually, I was all my life there. I went from a bunk bed to getting married. So a lot of my life was spent in that little room. So that's where the whole Jesse Dale Queens came from. I was born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi, with my sister and a brother. So it's three of us in the family, kids here. My mother, Diane, and my dad, Jesse, James Kelly. I would have loved to have been called Jesse James because I'm a Western fan. But my father said that he, doing school, he got talked about so much being a Jesse James that he didn't want to put that on me. So my dad is a preacher. He pastors two churches in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, nice.
So I grew up in a very religious background, very, very strict, strong religious background. I never would have thought that I would be a rapper today. Okay, so that's kind of where I started. Spent a lot of time in church, a lot of time in school. My dad was very involved with his ministry. He's a people person. He has a good heart. So we grew up helping the homeless. We spent a lot of time in the senior citizens places and giving them food. And I would play the piano for all the senior citizens people. And my mother and my sister would sing. We did that. And we were out walking the streets on the weekend with my parents, helping the homeless, helping people that didn't have a whole lot. He would crack open his Bible and read scriptures and talk to them and try to help them. So that's kind of like my foundation. I'm still a people person. I think it's good for, whatever city you live in, whatever country, it's just good to just kind of like dive into helping people, right? And I'm still like that now. So that's my beginning, in Jackson, Mississippi.
That explains your huge heart.
Yeah,
I can see that better now.
Yeah, I was trained to
help,
be that way, and now it's part of me now, basically.
Yeah. So who's Jesse now?
Jesse is a lot of things. He's impatient when it comes to following his dreams. I'm 45 years old. I'm 45. And usually a rapper would usually start his career when he's in high school or she's in high school. But you know what? Based on how I was raised, I didn't even think that I had a chance to even do what I wanted to do. Because how I was taught, you really value your parents' opinions. And you value your uncle's opinion, you value your auntie's opinion, your cousin's opinions. And you kind of like live your life based off what they think you should do. You should go to school. You should, soon you leave high school, you go this, you do that, do these things. Being a rapper is not cool. You don't make money off of that. You can't be a comedian. You can't go into acting. You can't move to California. Those kind of things. And they mean well, which is why I respect them.
Right.
And so my life was kind of molded into what I thought other people wanted me to do.
Gosh, man.
And so I'm kind of impatient now when it comes to what I want, and I've made my likings and what I want to do a priority, and that started last year. Um, this my album supposed to have been out already, but fear, not knowing that if the music scene will accept an older gentleman wanting to be a rapper, because I am a gentleman, I'm not a killer, I don't deal drugs, I don't do all of that, but I do have a story, and some of my story is very scary, so there's other scary things other than dealing drugs and getting killed, being a gangster. There's a whole lot of other different scary things you get involved with. So I do have a story. So that's who I am now. A 40-year-old dude that loves to rap about his life, and I'm a storyteller, so I tell stories over type beats. Yeah,
That's how your soul speaks.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. So props to you for realizing part of like what was holding you back, and I'm sure that's probably still within the journey, but like at least realizing, because I feel like that's important to realize if you're living your own story or if you're living somebody else's.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you may not know that you are.
That exactly. That's what I mean. Like props for you for understanding that, because that is such a key thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to know, like, so you were raised in a more of a church environment type, where it sounds like your family kind of maybe even frowned upon like the stuff maybe you're doing now.
Oh yeah,
A little,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
They're probably frowning now.
so did you as a child or as a kid, because you started with instruments very young, what, piano at what, 5?
5 years old. Right.
Okay. Okay. So then other instruments after that. Did you know or when did you realize that kind of like rap was in you?
Okay, so when I was young, I wanted to be like my cousin, Marshall Butler. He's an organist for a church, and I kind of wanted to be like him. I would sit on the organ bench in church beside him and watch how he played. But as far as a rapper, Myra, that happened in 2007. I didn't even listen to rap a whole lot when I was in college or whatever. I did a little bit. I was mostly into gospel, Christian, jazz, classical, and jazz and classical paid my way through college. I played that, got scholarships and all that. So I did wanted to produce music, but I was still trying to find my way. And I had a good friend named Keith Cotton in Jackson, Mississippi. He came over and he, showed me some rappers in Memphis, 3 6 Mafia people. Those are like a rap group. And he showed me Kanye West, Nas, and I listened to Nas' album entitled "Hip Hop Is Dead," and it was very different from his previous albums. It was well produced, and I just love how those beats sound, his melodies, and all of that. And I realized that Kanye West had a lot to do with that. And I became a Kanye West fan, and that's when I wanted to produce tracks for rappers. And so in Jackson, Mississippi, we had a number of record stores and CD stores. Back then, people were still buying records and vinyls and CDs and tapes. We don't do that now, but back then.
So these are these circular things that just kind of go inside a device, and then you hear music. You don't touch buttons.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing wireless. So I would go through Jackson, Mississippi, to these record stores because usually people who are in music and they, as a career, they will work at these places. So I would go into these record stores and I would try to pitch my beats to rappers, and they would just pop my CD into the actual store player and play it over the speakers, and they trashed my stuff so bad. they trashed my stuff so bad. You know, they hated it. Oh man, this is crap. Man. This is whatever. These are my friends, and they were just, you know, no, man, I can't do that. It's too nice. It got too many piano, you know, sounds in it. You know, all of this and all that. So I was finding my way. So I just stopped, and I went back into what I was doing. You know, and then I said, you know what? Maybe I should make music for me. You know, but that came a little bit later.
Okay. 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 So what would you did their comments kind of in a way made you stop? Like did that discourage you?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't hear what they were trying to tell me.
Okay.
You know, so if you tell somebody something about what they produced, whether it's music or a painting or whatever, art, whatever, and you give them an opinion about it, and they don't see it, they don't understand it. It's hard for them to receive it in a positive manner, right? So
Because they're confused.
right. So I was very confused. I didn't understand why it did not sound correct.
Right.
You know, because sometimes you just want it to be right and not good. You know, they can be enjoyable and good, but it may not be right. So I didn't understand what right sound like.
Okay. Did they give you any like ideas of what you could do better, or did they just like trash it?
Absolutely not.
Stop.
You know, so there's no instructions. There's no, let me hold your hand. Let me spend some time with you.
Yeah.
There's none of that. There's no investing in that.
Okay.
It was just, I don't like it. Come back, whatever. So.
Okay. Oh man, that's pretty. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can see how that can be discouraging. And so when did you go back to say I'm going to do it again? Or actually what led to that moment to saying I'm going to try it again?
Well,
Like what inspired it?
my wife can tell you that I went back and forth. You know, I would buy a bunch of equipment, and I would, you know, try to get things done. I would go start again, and it wouldn't work out. You know, we have 4 children. You know, I'm married, and so sometimes life can make a decision for you, even though you want to go a certain path. So sometimes it wasn't a good time to start something new like that, right? All right. So I went back and forth. It wasn't until we moved to Dallas, Texas, is when I really gave it some serious thought again, because Dallas was really open to music, and I got connected with people here in Dallas and Deep Ellum, in Louisville and Irving, Fort Worth, and so it kind of got me back going to wanted to be that person, you know, again.
Okay. So, and then so what brought you to Dallas? Was it the people you knew, or was it or did it just like what was it about Dallas? Like what? Money. Okay.
Yeah. We were in our 30s, real young still, and I wanted to make more money. And so I felt like Texas was a good place to make money.
Okay.
And, you know, so I didn't really have a plan or direction. I just knew that Jackson, Mississippi was not for me to make a lot of money in. So we moved to Dallas, Texas.
How did your family take that?
I didn't talk to them much about what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I was kind of stubborn about, you know, telling my parents about my decisions, because I just felt like they thought that I didn't think a lot before I moved. And they're probably right, you know, because I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. It was an impulse. I woke up and I said, you know what, I'm tired of my city. I'm tired of looking at cows. I'm tired of, you know, this country life. I want to go to the city, you know, and my wife agreed. You know, my kids were happy. So we made a decision, got the U-Haul truck, packed everything, and moved in about 2 days.
Wow.
And we left everything. It was not a whole lot of plan, nothing, you know.
I think that's one of the beauties. I think I was listening somewhere that like when you're young, it's like, and you have ideas, like you are, in a sense, I guess more of a fool, but being a fool is good in those senses, because if you're not, then you won't take the chance.
Right. And you have to really want it. Because it looks kind of
Yeah.
weird when you make those kind of very, quick decisions like that.
So what did you know about Dallas? Like why
I
was
have
it?
family here.
Okay.
So my mother's here.
Okay.
My grandmother, a bunch of aunties and uncles and cousins. So I have family here. So it
Okay.
wasn't really I'm going to like an unknown territory.
Okay.
I have family here.
Okay. So I want to know Jesse a little bit more before we come to Dallas. And so you mentioned you didn't tell your parents a lot, like what you didn't like to tell them a lot what you were doing. Is there like a particular reason? Like, is that just kind of you're more closed off, or is it more of the fact that you knew they maybe didn't understand you?
Well, I know that. Well, first off, being young and being kind of stubborn, I made a lot of foolish decisions in my life.
As we all do.
Yeah. And so I would talk. My dad's he's so serious, Myra. He's so serious. It doesn't matter what you give him. It's going to be a settled type discussion.
Okay.
It's not going to be kind of like real, hot and exciting. It's going to be very laid back.
Okay.
Sit on the couch, just, you want some tea, coffee, whatever. He's watching CNN or MSNBC, whatever. And we're talking. So I always wanted to make sure that he knew that he can be proud of me. So that was a big deal for me. And so if I felt like if I made a certain decision that he didn't like, I just assumed that he wouldn't like because of history. I wouldn't tell him. I wouldn't tell him. And my mother, she was more lenient. She was more supportive. She didn't really say no a whole lot to me. If I asked her, certain thing, I wanted something, whatever, she would just do it. And my dad would I don't have to like give a speech or have to like
Convince him.
really explain why I needed it.
Oh, okay.
And, and that's kind of hard to do because you don't really know sometimes why you want what you want. So, so I had a hard time trying to communicate to him why I chose him to help me with something. So if I couldn't put those words together, I wouldn't even call him.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did you feel like, other than respect, did you feel some sort of like fear towards your father too?
Yeah, because I don't like when he give me those eyes of disapproval. And we really don't talk a whole lot now. We really never did, but we have much respect for each other. He would come down, visit me in Dallas now. But, I just want him to be proud of me. And I still do.
It sounds like you look up to your father.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's my angel, Myra.
Oh, okay.
He's my angel. Wow. And I wrote a song about a childhood trauma I went through and how my angel fell from the sky. And so I replaced him with me. And so he was my angel because he disappointed me with something that he did. And I felt like I couldn't depend on him anymore. But yeah, he's my angel.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So with like, when you're thinking and when you're dreaming, is he there in your thoughts? You would say?
No.
No.
Not that type of connection.
Okay.
It's more of I don't have a visual of him.
Okay.
It's kind of scary. So there's no visual of him, but it's more like a known thing in my life that, I'm who I am today because my father is who he is.
Okay. Yeah. Who do you think your father wanted you to be?
I don't know, because honestly, and I know he's going to hate me for saying this, I don't think he really chased his dreams all the way. I think he based his life, his decision off of what he felt his teachings taught him to do, and which was from other people, his uncle, his dad, his mom, whatever. And I kind of see my dad doing a whole lot of other things. So I don't think that he had an idea about what he wanted me to do, because I don't think he followed everything he wanted to do.
Yeah, that is so crazy. Yes. I feel you completely. I mean, I think it's something that a lot of people struggle like even today.
It's passed down.
Yeah. It's like you have to see it, right? Like you have to see it to learn, and then breaking it. I feel like that's another process, right? Breaking like kind of that chain, that link of whatever it is that's getting carried over. And so, and then to start breaking through. Okay, so how was where are you lined up in with your siblings? Are you like the oldest, middle?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm the oldest. And then my sister's next. She's a year younger than me.
Okay.
And then my youngest brother, he's 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jesse, Dorcas, and David.
Okay. How's your relationship with your siblings growing up?
It's great. I'm not really the family kind of guy that calls your sister or brother or your mother, your father, and you kind of get in touch with them on a weekly basis. I'm very bad with that. I'm very bad with that. I'm surrounded by family here in Texas, a bunch of family here. I don't call any of them. And so I got to do better with that.
I think we all do. I mean, it's something that's constantly in my mind that I like, that I know it's there, but even though I know it's there, I still have to continuously like remind myself to.
And I love them all. They're all some sweet people. I don't reach out enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what about like as how involved were your siblings in your life as you got older?
Me and my brother David was very close. We shared the same room.
Okay.
He was my bed. He was on the bottom. I was on the top. We played basketball together. We played music together. We played CDs and vinyl records together. We were mischievous together and did things we shouldn't have done together. Talked about girls together. Watched magazines together. As boys, just being boys.
Right. Right.
But he's a real pretty cool dude.
Okay.
I still love him. We're still close. We just don't talk a lot.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So at what age do you get married?
I was 21.
Okay.
I was 21.
How old were you when you guys met?
Me and my wife met. She was in junior high school. I was in high school. She was 12, and I was 13, going on 14.
Wow.
And so
that's so cool.
We met very, very young in church. I saw her walk in the church with her family. I said, she's pretty.
So what was your next move?
I didn't really have one. Back then I was very, very shy.
Okay.
I was very shy. So I just heard, through the grapevine that she was looking at me too. So she was talking to my sister after service,
Okay, convenient.
And so we came home and she was like, "Hey Jesse, that family that walked in church today, their daughter, Panika, thinks you're cute." So okay. So that's where it all started.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Wow. So what did you propose or how did you decide or how did you both decide to get together?
So this may not make sense to a lot of people, but like I told you guys, we was raised in a very strict religious background. And if you know anything about people who are very religious, they don't like all the dating things and, touching your girlfriend and, and all of that, so we really didn't have a real date because her brother had to come along.
Okay.
And so I would tell people, honestly, our real first date was our honeymoon.
Wow. Like you and her together without a brother.
Yeah. And there were a few times where we were by ourselves, but not many.
Okay.
It was very, very short, time together by ourselves. But our honeymoon was really our first date.
Wow. Okay. That is. So I guess I don't know what it is really like to live in a very religious home.
Yeah.
Was she also raised in a very religious home? Yeah. Okay. So you guys kind of understood like the positions you were in.
Yeah. And they mean well,
right.
Our parents loved us and they want to make sure that, we don't make a mistake.
Right.
Sometimes people get too close and they may have a child too soon or
right.
some other things going on. So I understand that they meant well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was a young kid that
And you
likes,
understood that as
yeah,
a young kid that they meant well.
yes, yeah. Um, looking back, I understood that they meant well.
Okay.
Back then, they were my enemies.
Okay. Back then, okay. So
Yeah,
back then, you didn't really understand. How did you feel back then?
I felt like I had parents that didn't want me to live my life like I wanted to live it. But like I said, looking back,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that they really had my best interest in heart
Mm-hmm.
at heart. So I working at Kroger's. I was a cashier at Kroger's, and you asked me how I proposed to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked up for lunch one day, and I had a little Volvo, little car, and we drove to my house, and I wasn't really into classical music. So I got one of the box pieces that I played in college, and I put a ring in one of his pieces in the page. I closed it, and I walked outside and gave her the Bach, book of Bach, pieces. And I said, open to page whatever, blah blah blah. And she opened it, and she saw the ring, on that classical piece. That's how I proposed to her.
That's so sweet.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Was she surprised?
I think she was.
Yeah.
I think she was.
Did she say right away?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And we didn't tell our parents
Okay.
that we were getting married.
Okay.
They found out through other people.
How did they take that?
They didn't like it. And there's a story behind that too, but I don't have time to explain it.
Okay. Okay.
Was her brother there when you proposed?
No. I snuck and got her.
Oh.
Picked up and got her, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so you guys were kind of like secretly engaged?
Yes.
Okay.
For a while. And then we soon realized that we couldn't.
Keep it in.
Right, because we couldn't afford it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Right.
All right. All right. So, how old were you when you moved to Texas? So you were 21 when you get married.
Right.
Well, and how old are you when you moved to Texas?
I think I was 34.
Okay. So about 13.
2012.
And what happened in between? So what happened during those?
Ooh, a lot.
Okay. So I know, like, I was listening to your song, which we'll probably get to, or we will get to, but you mentioned you lost everything in one night.
Yeah.
So what was that about?
Well, that actually happened more than one time.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. So in Mississippi, I was a alarm technician. I would install alarm systems all across Mississippi. I had a little white work van, and that work van is on my CD cover on Spotify.
That's the actual van.
That's the actual van I worked out of.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it was full of tools and alarm systems, Honeywell, and all that, wires and everything. And I would spend tons of hours throughout the day installing. I would leave at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would get back like at 11 or 12 midnight. I would never see my kids. Okay. As a matter of fact, if I come home early enough to see them, they would greet me at the door like I'm some kind of superstar.
Oh.
Like I'll walk in and all of them, daddy, 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 just
Aw.
overshadow me. And I'll be so tired sometimes I would crash at the front door and sleep there overnight.
Stop.
I couldn't even move. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's hard labor. I mean, you're
Yeah.
crawling into
attics, under houses, and in Mississippi, so you have a lot of trailer homes, and so you're under houses fighting spiders and snakes and all these things. I did that all day long.
Do you have like one particular like installation that really sticks with you, like that was just crazy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Do you mind sharing like one or a few?
it was a bad one.
Okay.
Yeah, because this customer had tons of cats. She had. I mean, she was a real cat lady. It was it was cats everywhere, and I didn't grow up with a pet, by the way, which is kind of strange, these days. I never had a dog, never had a cat.
Okay.
Back then in the country, we was really country people. We had people who had pets. They were in the backyard. They wasn't in the house.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I never had a pet, so I really didn't really get used to walking in houses, with pets until I started installing alarm systems. Right.
Yeah.
So I had to teach myself, it's a common thing for people to have animals in their house. Right.
Right.
It's not unusual. It's common.
Yeah.
It's okay. But this particular house, it was cats everywhere, and what really made it bad is that it wasn't a clean house. The owner of the house didn't like she was clean. The cats didn't look like they were clean or groomed, and the house wasn't well kept up.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, she wanted to protect the house and buy an alarm system. So she invested in
Right.
alarm system, and
Yeah.
I went on over there, went in there, and I was running wire, and I would have to fight cats all day long at that house, Myra. They would follow me up in the attic.
You had buddies out there.
Yeah.
You had worker helpers.
Yeah. And I asked one to help me run a wire, but the cat didn't want to help me run a wire.
No, just watching.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was a very different experience.
Different, right. Yeah, I can only imagine. And how big was her space?
It was a 2-bedroom house, one bathroom, very very small house, right off the interstate in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
So very very cluttered. A lot of things.
So you'd be there from the morning.
For that particular house, I was there for at least 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good thing it wasn't all day.
Yeah. So
you would go from one job to the other.
Oh yeah. I didn't turn a job down. I was a contractor. I had my own business.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I didn't work for the alarm company. I was a
Okay.
contractor. I had my own license, so they would give me jobs for them. And so if they would fax me or email me a job, I will always take it.
Okay.
I had a good
Hustler. Always. Okay. Okay. So what got you into alarm systems? Because you got to the point where you were running your own show.
Yeah. So I used to work for a cable company, and I met someone on the street, another young kid that had his own truck, and we talked about how much money you can make being a contractor for an alarm company, and they kind of had me, thinking about doing that. So for a while, I did it with a little car,
Okay.
and then I saved money up, and I bought me a van, a truck, and all that. My dad bought my first truck for me. It's a Ford Ranger. They don't make those no more, but it was a Ford Ranger. And so he's always been a part of my life, whether I'm doing whatever.
Okay.
And even now, even though he doesn't really agree that it's best for me to be a rapper, and he would still make sure I'm okay. I would check up on him. He would call me. He's also has invested in my studio, wrote checks for my studio to help me buy equipment. But yeah, so he was there.
He's always in your corner somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So truck and van and all that. But yeah, it was costly, but I made a lot of money.
Nice.
But I wasn't really business minded enough to do my taxes well and all that. It was very costly because you have your own business. It's a lot involved with that.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to kind of like support your own endeavors.
Right.
You're not working for a company, so they don't give you tools. You have to buy your own tools and all that. So very costly.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know how we got there. Oh yeah, because I asked you for a story. We're talking about the one of the first times or one of the times that you lost everything overnight.
Let me pick one of those times for you. Um,
You have some to pick from.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And this is all during that time frame, like that you're over there, or it happened over here too in
it
Dallas
happened here in Texas too.
too. Okay.
Yeah.
Did it happen over there as well?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. Um, so let me just say that we've moved about 9 times, and for some people that's a lot.
Right.
All right. So my kids have moved with their parents about eight or 9 times, and a lot of those wasn't because we wanted to move. It was because we had to move.
Okay.
Okay. And so it was very tight, and I had a very supportive wife. She tried to work, but man, daycare was so expensive. It was, even back then, it was very expensive.
What was it back then that about what you remember?
Well, if we had one child, it may not have been so bad, but we had four.
That's right.
So, and they don't give discounts when
No family discount.
you know
Oh gosh.
no discount when you enjoy your wife. But yeah, so we have four. So she would stay home and raise the kids,
Right.
take care of them, cook, and support me with what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that lasted for many years. But I don't know about you guys, but these days it takes two. I always did.
I think it always has.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty tight. And so some of those situations where we had to move it, we would lose everything. Not because we didn't know what we were doing per se. It was just that I didn't make enough money. So we would just start over, move. And a good thing about living in Mississippi, those are some very good-hearted people who own properties and land and the houses. So they see like a young family who wants to start over, and they would let us go in and rent, and do things like that. My dad owned properties. He helped us out. This property, we moved in, So yeah, so that's kind of how those things happen,
Okay.
before I started back over.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Well, that's really crazy. So, how did you manage to get up every time? Like the thought process. Like, what did you tell yourself, or maybe you told your wife, or like, what was that conversation like?
Exactly how to answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right. It's always it's right here
Oh,
already.
okay.
All right. So I will always tell my wife and my kids that we can always continue if we will just keep working. If you keep working, just keep clocking in your job.
I'm literally getting the chills right now.
Just keep. It does not matter where you begin or what you lose. Just keep working. And so, and I have a statement. I said, if we keep working, we can continue. We can continue.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a closer, but we're nowhere near closing.
And
Okay.
my kids and my wife, my mother, my father will tell you that I will always work every single day. Like I had the best job, even though I lost everything. We lost the house, we lost the car, couldn't pay the bills, and I would still clock in. I was faithful to my supervisor, my manager. I never got fired for doing things I shouldn't be doing. I just kept on working, Mayra. And so that allowed me to continue.
Okay. Okay. So when you would go back in to work and like nobody had a clue what was going on, and you still did like your job to the best of your ability.
Yeah, and get promotions and move up.
So how did you manage to leave your personal problems at the door?
I just wasn't the type of person that would, I'm not really emotional.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, that sometimes cause problems in the marriage because she don't see me, kind of expressing things. But I'm not emotional,
Okay.
So if I ever become I'm emotional or cry, something bad really happened. Something bad really
Yeah.
happened. So I don't like to really get caught up in things that happen in my life because it just never helped. And I kind of got that early in life.
Okay.
It does not help.
Did you hear it somewhere, or did you just kind of like just from watching interactions, or did somebody tell you something that?
I think I got that from my dad.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure because he's also the kind of guy that works. Doesn't matter what goes on, he's going to work and get things done. Even though things may not be where he want it to be, he's going to work.
Would you say it's also something that was probably just kind of part of the lifestyle from growing up in a church type environment? Would you say that?
Yeah. So my faith and the things I were taught,
Yeah.
church definitely is part of my foundation with that. But my dad is very different. Okay. Even when we would network with other churches, and how he pastored his flock was different from how other preachers pastored their flock. And so it was really on him. Even in the church scene, he's very, very different. He's committed. He's loyal to his calling, and to just continue doing what you think needs to be done, even outside of church, which is why I didn't bring up church, because even outside of church, he's like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just him.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
He was young, wanted to finish college. He did, but he wanted to be a doctor in theology.
Okay.
And this guy would fly from Jackson to Atlanta to Morehouse College every weekend because he wanted to graduate from the same college that Dr. King did.
Oh, okay.
All right. So he would do that until he got his doctoral degree. This guy was hungry, man, so even though I said earlier that he may not be doing what he wants to do, but I think his calling is in ministry. He didn't have a choice. I think he was just called to do that.
Okay. Okay.
So he was driven. He was hungry. He just continued.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting in itself. Okay. So you move, finally you move to Dallas. You decide to move in Dallas and you make the move in 2 days. So like, what was the conversation like with your kids? Like, how did you break the news that you guys were leaving home?
They thought it was like a vacation.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So they packed up. They got in the car.
They thought it was a vacation.
Yeah, and man, that trip that night was very interesting because it rained, and we had a trailer behind our Subaru car, and we had my work van, and we had everything packed up, and it rained, and a lot of our stuff got wet, and the rain wasn't part of the forecast.
Oh.
But I still didn't plan, so it didn't matter.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was pretty interesting.
And what else made it interesting that night?
Well, so we left Jackson to Dallas is about 6-hour drive, which is not that much, but when you're moving everything, it is.
Well, where are you guys coming? Oh, sorry, continue.
Yeah. So we left around about 7 that night, maybe 9 o'clock that night, and we arrived there 5 o'clock in the morning that next day because it took a while to get there. The kids use the restroom every hour. We stopped, at the truck stops, whatever. We got there. I was already hired at an alarm company before I got there.
Okay.
I drove to Dallas in a work truck 2 weeks before we moved, right? So it took us 2 days to move, but I already got hired.
Okay.
All right. Because we had wanted to move anyway, and no, we're not going to do it. And then I said, so I said, well, let's go ahead and make it done, make it happen. All right. So we moved, and we got there at 5 o'clock, and I went straight to work at 8. after driving all day,
No sleep.
all night, no sleep. No sleep.
What carried you over? Just the adrenaline?
Um, I just didn't want to lose my job.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate calling. If I said I'm going to be there, I
Okay.
hate calling and making a different move.
Yeah.
So I told them I'd be there that following morning, and I was there.
Where did your family stay?
We were in a family house.
Okay.
It was renting.
Okay, you do have family. That's right. That's right. Okay. Okay. So how quickly do you where do you guys go next after being with family?
Well, we wanted to kind of do our own thing. It kind of took us a while to really get up on our feet in Dallas. It was a very,
Did you guys come down here with any savings?
not much.
Not much. Okay.
No. It was one of those starting back over.
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
things.
And you were self-employed at the time, so you kind of left your gigs
Yeah.
and then just got hired over
I sure
here.
did. Got a hire
Okay.
for a real company, making $14 an hour, and that's low for a family of six. At the time my wife wasn't working, and so I don't know how we survived for 6 months like that. But yeah,
And this is in 2012.
and 12. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So it's not even that long ago.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, like 11 years ago. So it's definitely not enough for a family of
Oh no,
was it 6?
6. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
I don't know how we got by, honestly.
How did you get by? Like how was so you said about 6 months. How were your days or even like your relationship with your wife? How was your relationship with your wife at the time?
Well, things were kind of tight and kind of, it wasn't tense, but if you can't really take care of your needs like you really want to, it's kind of hard to really enjoy life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like what we had going on,
Okay.
but I did have a little side hustle. I would play for churches. Pastors would, know that I play the organ and keyboard. So they would, contact me. I would play for services. I played for my cousin's church for a while during that time. And they would, kind of like give me an offering for that, every week.
Okay.
So that really helped out.
Okay.
And I did that like all my life, basically.
Okay.
Played for churches, a little side hustle like that.
How'd you enjoy that?
I enjoyed it, but you don't really have a lot. You lose your weekends dealing with churches like that.
Okay.
So I work all through the week, Monday through Friday, and Saturday, and then Sunday my time is given to churches, helping them with their ministry.
Okay.
So even though it helped pay the bills, you don't have a lot of time to do what you want to do.
Okay. Did you have any like strategic any way of like how you wanted to like spend your time? I mean, obviously at the time you were just kind of you're hustling, but was there any thought put into like how you were gonna spend your time specifically to kind of get through whatever phase you were getting to, or were you just kind of going by
I was going with the flow.
Okay.
I didn't really have a lot of plans back then.
Okay.
It's only up until I would say in 2020
Okay.
when I realized it's time for me to start mapping out my goals.
Mapping it out. Yeah.
And that's a part of my one of my raps. I talk about, I have a goal in mind. I see a map.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't have that skill set back then.
Okay.
So I wish I did, but I didn't have it. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then your kids, how are your kids handling moving? Or are they just like rock stars? Just like, yeah, let's go on another vacation, Dad.
I would always tell, my coworkers that we talk about family, raising kids and all that, my family, whatever, my cousins, whoever want to talk about children. We were blessed with 4 beautiful, well-mannered kids, and I don't think that we did everything right. So we can't take all the credit for it. But Mayra, all 4 of our children was just sweethearts. So we have two girls and two boys.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter what we went through as a family. They were always smiling. They didn't complain about anything. They wasn't picky about nothing. If our Christmas was kind of light, they didn't complain. You know, all they wanted to do was be in the house with us.
Really?
Yeah, that's all they wanted. And if they wasn't a part of us,
Mm-hmm.
then that's when they would get kind of sad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you know sometimes we had marital problems before and separation, and that's when they would start verbalizing what they don't like.
Okay.
But other than that, we have 4 sweethearts.
What's like how far apart? What's their ages? How far apart?
I'm just gonna ask the question. So my oldest daughter, she's 23.
23. Okay.
Okay. And then my next.
Or what's the youngest? How old is your
youngest
youngest?
is 19.
19. Okay.
Yeah. So they're stair steppers, basically.
Okay. So how okay, well, that's actually kind of like what we're planning on doing, kind of having them
Yeah.
close to each other. What do you like? How do you recommend that strategy of just kind of like, you know?
Well, sometimes if you have them far apart, then your first child can be a babysitter for your next child. So that kind of worked out from some of my friends I've talked to.
Okay.
They had to space out a whole lot. And their first child was they kind of became the babysitter.
Okay.
But it kind of all depends on what you want.
Right. How was your experience having them back to back?
Oh, it was. It cost a lot of money.
Okay.
But it was very exciting seeing my wife glow, you know, carrying a child, you know, seeing her like that was just beautiful.
Would you say you fell in love more with your wife after having children?
Yeah. To see your spouse, you know, kind of produce something that you both did together. Oh yeah, that's wonderful.
And you knew, did you know she was like, before you even got married, that, did you ever like think about it this way? Like I want her to be the future mother of my kids. Did you see it that way back then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about it in school.
Okay.
We had our little life planned out. That's the only time I planned.
Oh, okay.
Because that was her making sure that I had a plan.
Okay.
You know, she was a little girl. You know, she would write down what she wanted. We would call each other late at night and talk about, you know, our marriage and the house we wanted and how many kids. And she said this in high school at ninth grade, that she wanted 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys.
Okay.
And so that's what we have.
Okay.
She wanted a white house with a red door. We bought a white house with a red door, and in year 2000, this first house I ever bought.
Okay.
It was a white house with a red door.
Wow.
You know.
Okay.
So she planned a lot of that. A lot of that came out to actually happen.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. Cool. Okay. Wow. That's so good. I'm really actually amazed on like your children. And I think, I mean, sure, like I'm sure it's a lot of just who they are, but I wonder, especially you guys live or being raised, both of you as parents in a strict household. How did you envision yourself as being a parent? Like, did you have an idea how you wanted to be, because like different and maybe like your own vision compared to what you experienced?
Yeah.
Like, did you have like...
Yeah. I don't know how much you want me to go down that road, but that's when things get kind of scary when it comes to my childhood.
Okay. We can go as deep as you want to go, as much as you want to share.
Yeah. So when I was young, living with my parents, you know, things wasn't always peaches and creams. You know, they didn't get along a whole lot.
Okay.
And they would fight, argue, and a lot of times it would get very violent. Some of, you know, mama grabbing knives and, you know, my dad running out. And I would hear door banging and, been hose been put in the walls and the doors and all that. And so all that chaos really traumatized me. Hearing these names being called out, and yelling and screaming and fighting, and here I am, a little boy in bed trying to go to sleep and, all this, and these are people who I admire and love, just passionate about, so it didn't really, I didn't feel safe a lot, in the house. And I think that's one of the reasons why they decided to go ahead and call it quits, because they just felt like that their kids needed a better environment.
Okay.
So I really appreciate my mother and father for saying, you know what, we just don't need to be together. It's not working out.
Okay.
Let's give our kids some peace.
Okay.
So
Okay. How old were you?
I was 13, I believe, when my dad really said, you know what, this is the last time, because he tried to leave many other times.
Okay.
And he came back because he loved his wife. He loved, he wanted his family. But that last time I think I was 13.
Okay.
He left and didn't come back.
Okay.
And that's what I mean when I say my angel fell.
Okay.
I lost my angel because I wanted him to be there
Okay.
with us. And losing your father like that, even though I didn't really lose him because he still took care of us.
Okay.
But not to be around him in your house, it's like your covering's gone, like your angel, your protection's gone. And it was a real big deal for me. And I kind of think out of all three of us, I think I was the one that took it the hardest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think? Did you feel like some sort of responsibility for being the oldest, or was it more
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I also felt guilty.
Guilty? Okay.
Yeah, because that last straw that broke the camel's hump was started with a conversation I had with my mother and my father that morning. And that led to them arguing. And he left. And I always told myself, if I would have never asked that question, my dad probably would still be here.
What question was that? You don't have to share. You don't have to share.
You know what? I would share it, but I don't want to because it's so minute.
Okay.
It's such a small thing that caused a huge deal later on.
Okay.
So I am embarrassed to tell you what caused that argument.
Okay.
With my parents.
Okay. So, but in this made you feel guilt.
Yeah.
And do you still feel that guilt?
No.
Okay. No. When was that guilt released?
It was released when I started having problems myself with my marriage. I realized that it takes work. It takes being committed to your spouse. Being a child, you don't really know all the energy and effort it takes to remain married. So as I've gotten married and I learned my own life experiences, I realized I can't be guilty for that.
Okay.
So.
Wow. That's your own experience made you realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. That is okay. So you're the oldest. You're about 13. I'm assuming you guys kind of just stay living in the same house. Your father just leaves, or did you guys also relocate?
So he left and got his own place, and it was a huge court battle with who's going to get custody. Too. And we were planning on speaking against. Not really against, but saying some things that would probably put my dad in a good favor to get custody. And we got, coached on what to say and all that with the lawyers and all that. And then when that time came, I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
Did you? Why? Why do you think?
Because I felt like all of us was ganging up on my mother. So.
You felt like that wasn't the right thing to do?
Well, I couldn't really explain why.
Okay.
Like that, looking back,
Okay.
Yes, but back then, I just felt like, there's nobody on her side. So I couldn't speak.
Okay. Who were you living with at that moment?
My mother.
Okay.
Yeah. So my sister and brother, they moved in eventually with my dad. And I stayed with my mom.
Okay.
I didn't move out.
Okay. Did you feel any sort of responsibility to kind of like not leave her? You felt like everybody else was kind of like against her, so you were.
Well, no, I didn't think that they were against her. It was just that I didn't feel like that I needed to move out
Okay.
because I was old enough to just accept what happened.
Okay.
Right. So it wasn't about
That's strong.
them ganging up and
Yeah. Okay.
you know, and at some point they probably needed to because where he stayed at had better schools and all that. But I just felt like I was old enough to just deal with what happened.
Okay. Okay. That takes. I feel like that takes a lot of guts, and then especially like as a 13-year-old, and just kind of dealing with whatever it is that you're presented without any sort of training.
And we did have some we would see him every other weekend.
Okay.
And I really, really enjoyed that.
Okay.
Yeah, because he would get videos and he would buy me instruments and all that.
Okay.
My sister and brother, we had good times. He would always take us out for pizza on Friday nights, But, sometimes when your parents have a divorce like that, and you spend time with your parents, separately, they kind of become like a uncle and auntie kind of thing. Because they
Okay.
really want to make sure that the kids are happy.
Okay.
And usually when your house is together, you don't get all those kind of gifts.
Okay. Yes.
So
Yes.
so when it's time for me to see my dad on certain weekends, it was almost like he was like a real cool uncle sometimes.
Okay.
See, we would get pizza and other things that we usually didn't get when he was in the house.
Right. Okay. Did you see him making an effort to be?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
He wanted to make sure that we were happy and that we didn't deal with anything that caused, when he left. Yeah.
And your siblings are staying with your father. You're staying with your mother. How is dealing with even just separate, not living with your siblings? Because you guys shared a bunk bed. You mentioned, right?
Yeah, but I was really independent.
Okay.
Excuse me. At a very early age, I just didn't have to have all those connections.
Okay. And you're 13. Is that around the time that?
See, well, 13, we had this. We were all still staying with my mom.
Okay.
So when we got older, and my dad bought a house, that's when they moved out and stayed with him in his house. And at the time I was 18.
Okay.
So I was too old to pack up and leave with my dad. I felt like
I see.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary.
Yeah. No, you were busy planning with your wife.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Had a job, had a car, so.
So your girlfriend at the time, you're 13 when your father walks away. Well, not walks away. He leaves the house but like you're 13 or 14 when you met your now wife?
Right.
So was she throughout that process?
When I met her, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was helpful. That must have been helpful for you.
Maybe too much.
Yeah, no, I don't think too much. I mean, it's definitely not an easy position to be in, as a teenager when you're growing, like you're changing, you're kind of in a way, I guess, kind of seeing what's outside of the four walls in your house.
Yeah, but
right.
I kind of say too much because me and her both was dealing with some things in the family.
Okay.
And for me, I really lean and depend on our relationship.
Okay.
And sometimes when you're dealing with trauma like that, and you lean on something like that, it can you can overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So.
Okay.
But yeah, she was really a big part of me. Kind of saying life ain't so bad because I have a great girlfriend. She's understanding, but it kind of stopped right there for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we went back a little bit. That was awesome. Okay, so you guys moved back to Dallas, and you're working for this alarm company.
Yeah.
And you're working on getting your feet back up here in DFW.
And so that was 2012. Okay. And from 2012 to 2020, we had marital problems. We separated, I think, 3 times during that course.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're dealing with that, it's hard to reset and build back up.
What's the hardest part of it, do you think?
Um,
Because it's really hard, right? What do you think it's like the hardest part of it?
well, I don't think it's really difficult if you really know exactly what you want and to commit to your decision. And I don't think neither of us was doing that,
Okay.
because we were looking out for each other. But at some point, being adults, you have to make a decision. What do you want? Want to stay in? Want to stay out? You're going to stay in Dallas, move back to Mississippi. And so those tough decisions wasn't happening.
Okay.
Okay, so we kept not wanting to make those decisions.
Okay. Did you know they had to be made, but maybe we're avoiding them?
Honestly,
Like deep down, you know?
honestly, for me, they weren't made because I felt like I was the cause of a lot of things that was happening.
Okay.
So when you're feeling guilt like that, you tend to want to sometimes not consider yourself, right? Because you're feeling guilty, so you want to prove yourself. You want to make sure that you don't look bad in somebody's eyesight, your wife, your kids. So I would not think of what I wanted to do or wanted to be or wanted out of my life. I would just try to correct some things that I thought I did.
You were trying to correct. Okay. Yeah. And do you think you trying to go back and correct was taking away from planning towards just making a better future?
Absolutely, because you're trying to correct something that happened in the past that doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So ultimately, you have to just kind of let the past be the past. But I was still trying to correct and try to mend something that was actually broken. My uncle told me one time, he's in Texas, name is Joseph. He told me, Jesse, sometimes you have to be okay with not winning. You didn't win, so just be okay being a loser, so you can win the next one. But if you don't understand that you lost this one, then you won't never move forward. So
when did he say that? When did you hear that?
I heard that in 2012.
Okay.
So I didn't like it then, but what he was saying was true, and that goes with a lot of things I dealt with in my life. Sometimes when you make a mistake or something happens that's out of your control, that caused you to lose something, you lost, right? So if you don't want to deal with that, yeah, fine, but you have to understand that you lost. So go ahead and just write it off and start back over. And I had the hardest time doing that.
Really? Why do you think?
Proud and stubborn, just not wanting to admit that it happened to me.
Admit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take responsibility, maybe even.
Yeah.
Some of that.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's incredible. And I think that is so key with right now, because it's like we said earlier, it's like breaking that like link or chain and realizing, so that way you break it and then you move on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So
letting things go.
Did all your the times that you separated with your wife, were they here in Texas, in Dallas, or did some happen back home too?
Yeah. So a few times it happened in Mississippi, and then some more times here in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like after the move, and then okay. So okay, wow. So if you could tell yourself if you could tell like 21-year-old Jesse, like one thing, like one tip, Jesse today, to Jesse back then, what would you tell yourself? Like,
Um, okay, so the guy that didn't plan, didn't have a strategy, that wasn't me before. Okay, so when I was younger and had a girlfriend and all that, I was in college. I did have a strategy and a plan.
okay.
Okay, and I told my mother and father that I wanted to go to school at MSU. To become an engineer.
Okay.
All right, so that was a few hours away from Jackson. So that means I have to be on campus, move away. And at the time, my dad thought that it was best for me to go to school in Jackson so that I can continue to work in the church. Okay. So I also wanted to be in the Air Force.
Okay.
So my father said, go to school in Jackson. And my mother said, don't join the military at all. Don't be Air Force, Navy, nothing. So I said yes to both of them about what I wanted to do. And so I stayed in Jackson. I would tell that Jesse to go ahead and go to MSU and become an engineer. Even though you're away from your girlfriend, you're away from your church, your family. That's what you wanted to do. You always wanted to break circuits and build circuits and do all of that. Go learn how to do that. You wanted to be a pilot, wanted to fly airplanes. Go do that. Even if it's with our country, you're doing a good thing for that. Go do that. Yes, you're leaving your family. You're leaving Panika. You're leaving all of this. Go do it. But back then, other people's opinions really mattered to me.
Yeah. So now we're in Dallas, and you guys are going through all these hardships. It sounds like in 2020, you managed kind of a little bit to kind of break through. 2020 sounds important. Tell me why.
Yeah, but we both broke through, but it didn't happen the way we wanted to.
Okay.
All right. So in 2020, it was another separation.
Okay.
And this time it was official. Papers were signed and went to court. He got a divorce, and she moved back to Mississippi. Took all 4 of our kids with her, and then I realized that my sons should be with me, so I went back and got my sons, my 2 boys. In 2020, I got a new apartment, and everything, and me and her both really reset.
Oh, okay. Really, really.
Me and her both really reset, made a decision to go and do things without us even trying anymore, basically.
Okay.
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 And so we began to date other people and, just started a whole new life, and that's when I found myself, really. I began to write rap songs and really wanted to become a rapper. I was producing music, spent a lot of time in the studio, bought more equipment. And as I was writing, I saw my story. I saw the beginning, how I got to where I am today. And I said, wow, man, I want to share my story. So I just began to write. And back then in 2020, I wasn't good at it, but I just had this hunger to just write my story. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, and as I was writing my story, I also realized I like alcohol. I like bourbon. I like whiskey. And I didn't have that in my life before.
Okay.
And I tell my wife, I think I came like an alcoholic, honestly. No, seriously. Because I would open up my closet and nothing mattered to me in my closet but my Jack Daniels. And I would just buy a bunch of liquor, and I couldn't wait to get off work because I had my me time.
Mm-hmm.
I would go get my little whiskey. I'm very into whiskey glasses. I would polish whiskey glasses, and it's a certain kind I like. I don't just use any kind of glass. It have to have a certain weight to it.
Okay.
You know, certain kind of whiskey, and I really got into that.
Okay.
And I would drink every single day.
And this is why you were single.
Yes, I was single.
Okay.
Yeah, we were divorced, and I would write songs, write raps,
Okay.
make beats, and I would drink.
What does your environment look like as you're writing?
All right, so I did try to get inspiration from listening to other artists,
Okay.
but that really never worked out when it comes to me wanting to write. Now, I will get inspired by other artists when it comes to making music and beats
Okay.
and the melodies and all that. But when it comes to writing, my story is so unique and different that I would just think about my life and I would just write. You know, so I would sit and think about my childhood, think about high school, think about college, think about my first job, first date, the first time I had sex, I kissed some, a girl, or the first time I felt heartbroken, my first job I really liked. Things like that really would inspire me to write, and so I would just write about my life. I don't see how anybody else can do anything else when you're an artist. It's really you, you know. So I can't listen to other people's stories to write about my story.
Right.
So I would shut off Spotify so I can write about me.
Okay. So, and are the lights off?
Oh yeah,
The lights
lights
are
are off. I would maybe listen.
Where do you
to,
sit?
I would be in my studio.
Okay.
All right, in that chair, and I would maybe listen to some kind of old record, jazz, classical, things that don't have words.
Okay.
All right, and let's listen to that. And when I'm really feeling my liquor, really feeling whiskey, it makes me want to create.
Okay.
You know, so now I'm able to control that,
Okay.
and so I kind of know where I need to be when it comes to me sipping. And I said, okay, yeah, I'm in a good place, good place. Get my pen out, or I go to my MacBook, type, and it just flows.
Okay.
You know, it just flows.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your preference, writing or typing?
Typing.
Typing.
Yes, yeah. I don't force it either. You know, I write a whole bunch of words down, then I go back later to organize it.
Okay. About how many drafts do you think you do?
Redoing never stops. I always want to take down my song on Spotify and redo that.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think it never ends. I think you always want to just add more things to it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Did you where did you learn how to write like songs? Did that just come from like the heart? Or did you learn something somewhere that helped you?
I would write music. I started writing previously.
Okay.
When I would try to do music before in Mississippi. And at the time, it was gospel or Christian music.
Okay.
And so that's really where I learned how to write.
Okay.
And so, but now that my story has changed, I still have that skill. I just do it for a different reason now.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
A different theme.
And do you have like a time set, or because you said you don't force it, so do you sit there and just kind of like get your stuff? You know what to do to kind of get yourself going, to get in the mindset, or are you like, I'm feeling it right now, like I'm gonna go right?
Yeah, so that's my direction. I don't have a game plan where I gotta write a song or have an album release or a single release at a certain time. I'd rather for that idea to come to me than for me to chase it. So I just put myself in the right environment so that thought can come to me.
Okay.
So I kind of court it like that. Okay. So I kind of get in the right environment and kind of have myself in a place where that thought or that idea would find me.
Okay.
And then I would grab it that way and then take it further.
Okay. Okay, I see. Wow, very,
Yeah.
very interesting. And that just gets the juices going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is a time where you get really serious and you're single.
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
and so I mean, obviously you're with your wife now.
Mm-hmm.
And what like at what point what kind of drew to you guys connecting and talking about you both again, other than just we have kids?
Yeah, I can tell you that.
Okay.
So in 2021, being single and divorced, um, now keep in mind, I haven't dated anybody since I dated my wife when we were in high school. So I don't know. I don't know how to date.
Okay. Okay.
And I realized you have to know how to date. Dating has rules and different things, and it's a jungle out there, man. It's ridiculous
Mm.
how people give pointers and tips on what to do, what not to do, what this means, what that means, how to text, how to do all of that. So it was a nightmare. So, but I did try it.
Okay.
So I dated.
Okay, so actually, before you go into how you went back with her, I want to hear like that story. Like, so you tried dating, so it sounds like it was kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah, because it was like a competition. It's just like you want to date somebody, but both of you all are trying to compete with something, and I don't know what it is, because if you both like each other, why is all this competing going on?
Oh, yeah, right.
So, but I didn't understand it, because I'm like a Southern boy. I'm a country boy, Southern. I'm laid back, a gentleman.
I mean, look, regardless, like you haven't dated
Yeah.
since you were like 13, 14.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I do want to hear that.
And then
Okay.
and it's not really dating, right? Because we didn't really date then either.
Oh, right. True.
So
True.
I did not know how to date. So I don't know what a date is.
Okay.
All right. So I tried it out, and
How did you start? Like you're like, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm single, I'm gonna give it a shot. What's the next step? What did you do next?
it depends on who you're dating.
Like, what did you do next? Like when you're like, okay, I'm single. This is serious. Papers are signed. Screw it. I'm gonna give it a shot with like, see what's out there. What do you do? What's the next box to do, like to get there?
It happened twice in 2021. I tried to date twice.
Okay.
Right. So the first time I tried dating, the young lady, made a pass at me first. She gave me her number.
Okay.
And I got her number. I called and we went on some dates.
Okay.
And it didn't last long at all. Because things happened with her life, and she had a child.
Okay.
And so when all that happened, I realized that I didn't want to date anybody with children.
Okay. Okay.
So that didn't work out. And so the next time I dated, I actually handpicked somebody out.
Okay.
And I reached out and said, hey, let's go get some coffee, whatever, and chill and talk, whatever. And she agreed. We went and went on a date. And while me and her was dating, which was very, very slow, because she experienced a very traumatic experience with her previous boyfriend.
Okay.
So that dating happened very slow pace, and all while we were doing slow already, her mother passed.
Okay.
Okay. So I was there for her for that. Went to the services. I supported her and all that. But I kind of realized that this wasn't for me either.
Okay.
So I kind of cut ties with that. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to just do me for a while. Get back to writing, get back to making music, whatever, because that's what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this society, it kind of sometimes teaches you to be with somebody. It's not good to be by yourself. But I think it's okay to be by yourself. you know. So that's where I was at by myself for a while.
Okay.
Okay. While all this was going on, I got word that my ex had a new boyfriend.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh.
So I wasn't laughing like that when I first.
Yeah.
So okay, cool.
He's like, what's the competition?
Yeah. Game on now.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at her from a distance, and she looked at happy, man. She looked at like, she found someone that she really liked. She looked at really happy.
Mm-hmm.
I said, great. So I actually started to talk to my kids and tried to get them to support their mother. Now, when I had someone I was dating, my daughter, my son didn't really have a problem with it. But when mom found somebody, it's like, it's a problem.
Mm.
All right. So I had to talk to them, my daughter, who was staying with my ex, and my boys with me, and say, hey, Jackie, support your mother. She's trying to find her happy place, support her, whatever. And told my sons, support your mom, protect your mom, just kind of be there for her. So that was going on. And so one Sunday afternoon, when I was taking my daughter back to my ex's apartment, my ex, Panika, she walked downstairs and was talking to me, and asked her for a piece of paper for my son Jesse Jr. And so she went to her truck. So at the time, I just wanted to follow her to the truck to have a private conversation with her away from my kids. And I followed her to the truck, and she gave me the paper, and she just broke down, started crying. And at that moment, me and her both opened up to the horrific experiences that we had with dating, and how she got hurt, how she lost a lot of things. And I shared with her some things I went through. And when she embraced me and cried on my shoulder, I don't know if you read my post I did on Facebook about my Grammy speech. I already had my speech ready already. So in that speech, it said, I saw a stranded princess cry. And that's who I was talking about. So when she cried, now I've seen her cry many times because she's a crier.
Mm-hmm.
I think you are too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but that particular time, I don't know, Mayra. It's like some kind of hero and villain both woke up in me.
Mm.
I got life, and I just felt like I needed to see what really caused her to be so hurt like this.
Mm.
And so we began to talk, and just at that moment, I kind of realized that this chick is still in my heart, man. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of talked, and it didn't happen overnight. But she was going through something very traumatic then. And I wanted to help her, but it's kind of hard to just help alone, just only help and not have emotional ties when you're helping someone who have gave you 4 beautiful children, who have cooked for you, you've had countless of pleasures with, traveled with, made music with, all that. So it was difficult to just help and then say, okay, I'm done. Hands off, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that kind of led to us having a date. I took her out. I love coffee. I love espresso. I like cafes. And Dallas is just huge with a whole bunch of spots like that. So I took her on a date at a cafe I liked. And that's when we talked. And, that's where it started.
It started again.
Yeah.
That is such a good story.
You think so?
Yeah.
Some don't think so.
Some don't think so.
No.
No, but well, that's bound to happen though. Like
Yeah.
it's like I think it's Jim Rohn I was listening to lately, and he's like, I stopped trying to understand why some people do and some don't. Like some people, whatever it is, right? Some people do,
Yeah.
some people don't, and that is, I think, like just kind of like what he said, and that I like agree with. He said, you know, that's just the mystery of life.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
You know, some people do, some people don't. And so I think it's a great story. Like you're gonna have those do's and don'ts, you know, and I say that I think it's because I feel a little bit too. I think I was concerned about that. Like, okay, if I make a podcast, are people gonna like it? You know, things like that. So I kind of like, even like when the seed was planted to when it actually happened, it was like I think it was still kind of me understanding that like some people do, some people don't. But that's not for me to understand.
Yeah.
Because if I try to understand that, I'm going to live my whole life stressed
Absolutely.
because I'll never understand.
Yes.
And that's just going to cause chaos and versus just realizing what is what, letting go of what happened and like, okay, what do I want to make? Okay, what does that look like? Where am I at now? How do I get there? Okay, now let's do. Versus, you know, just kind of living either in the past, like most of us have and most of us are. And, you know, just kind of realizing that and just letting go so that you can start figuring out the life you want to build or what you want to start cultivating.
Yeah.
And I think that's really how you really turn back around those bad experiences and maybe you try to go back and correct. No, that is how you correct them.
Yeah.
Right? Like you start figuring out like what it is that you want.
Yes.
And then work towards it.
Yep.
And then like not try to understand, just let's see what happens.
Right.
Right. Okay. So
That makes a whole lot of sense what you just said, though, because if you're not really sure of what you want or what direction you need to go, you can't really help but to ponder and wonder about things that didn't work out, because that's really all you have, because you have no direction. Right. So once you realize who you are, what you want out of life, hey, I want to do this. You know, I want to go this place. I want to. You know, I like her, I like him, I'm in love with him, her, you know, I want this, I want that. If you don't know those pieces, you can't help but to collect all the other past stuff that you went through and trying to make that work, because that's really all you have.
not only that, living somebody else's dream, because even if it's not your parents, it's going to be your boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be the news.
Yeah.
It's going to be
The next trend.
the next trend. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I see that for sure. For sure. And so like you even come, you know, I think your story's like good and crazy good, you know, so far. But then that's, you know, like that's one of those things that one of those things about life that things just happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like we are the directors.
Yeah. And you know, I probably would have made it this far if it wasn't for some of the people that I've connected with between 2012 and now. And a lot of those people came from electronics, honestly. My previous job I had, Dan Gibson, Abraham Torres, who I'm very still close to him, Ricky, who's no longer here with us now, but he was a good friend of mine. I'm going to tell you a little quick story. Working in electronics. As you know, like I told you earlier in our talk, I was a technician in the field, right? So that's like a very, very independent position. You know, you don't have to worry about clocking in, clocking out, a lunchtime, a break time, no structure. You make your own schedule. You just go, right? All right. So when Monotronics, when they hired me, I didn't have the structure. All right. So on week 1, I got wrote up twice. All right. And so that second time, Abe pulled me to the side. He said, "Hey, write a letter that you understand what I'm talking about and that you are committed to doing the things that we hired you to do in the time frame and the schedule being available that we asked you to do." It's okay, sure. I wrote a letter and I gave it to him. And then as I walked to my seat, Ricky pulled me to the side. He said, hey, Jesse. Yeah, what's up? He said, "Man, I know you're new here, but if you write a letter, that means that your next offense, they want to fire you." Dude told me, he said, "This is not like you're out there, doing your own thing." He said, "Jesse, letter is the last step before termination." Oh. And that guy, what he said made me realize that I'm no longer a technician in the field. I can't do my own thing. And I'm in a call center. And I really, really appreciate Ricky telling me that. Because no one told me.
I wouldn't have known you probably if he didn't tell you that.
No, because it would have happened to me. I would have been in Canes over than an hour eating and not came back, in time, basically. So Ricky gave me a good tip. He gave me a good tip that changed my direction of my career.
Wow. It's Monotronics the job that hired you, that moved you from Mississippi, or is that a different job? Okay.
No, so I quit the job I had.
Okay.
And to work. I actually thought that Monotronics was a technician job.
Okay.
And so when they walked me to the back and I saw the call center, I said, "No, this is not a job where I install. I'm on the phone."
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So I went to my desk and I said, "I'm going to be such a good worker that I'm going to take this guy's job."
Yeah.
And a few years later, I had Abraham's job.
Yeah.
So it all that worked out.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were they gonna what were you doing that was like that you had to kind of get with the program that didn't fit with the program?
Well, my kid needed a ride back from school to home for some reason, or my wife had a flat, all that. I had to go, these are all important things. But I realized that if your job has hired you to be there to work, then you got to put things in place outside of your job so that when these things come up, you can have other resources to take advantage of. Mm-hmm. So I began to get insurance where they have roadside assistance.
Okay.
And all these things. So if these things happen, we just take
You're covered.
Yeah. Hey, get roadside assistance. I can't leave my job. So I had things in place to help me while I work.
So I guess in a way, it made you plan better.
Yes. And take advantage of things that we have now today, like apps and, roadside assistance, resources. It may cost a little more to add that little extra feature to your insurance, but it's worth it down the road. So I picked up on these things and added to my life, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And these are the things you said you were like, you had to adapt or had to learn.
Yeah. Because it was all about, taking the cheapest way out sometimes. Okay. Me. But I realized you have to sometimes kind of invest in some things that you need. It may be costly, but, it'll help you be more stable.
I think that's really important because I can completely see and understand and I mean, I understand like the thought about like, okay, let me you mentioned like going the cheap way.
Yeah.
You're a father of 4 and a wife and trying to make it. So
yeah.
I guess in a way, not necessarily as cheap. I mean, you're really just kind of trying to survive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But then you learn how to use tools to move faster and not risk the stuff that's actually kind of making you stable, which is your job and as your what's paying the bills, I guess, for now.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So how's that shift for you mentally, having these set of rules you have to follow, going from like an independent contractor working at 11, 12 hours to like, did you have numbers you had to meet? Do you have service level
Yes, yes,
you have to meet?
yes.
Timings?
Yeah. And so we did that. I was coached, trained to do that at that job, and I was pretty good at that job. Even though it was my first time doing that, I learned the craft and got good at that. But being structured still, that really taught me how to really plan my career. And I kind of realized that I could move ahead if I give them what they hired me to do it very well, and then kind of position myself to grow in the company. That really changed the course of my career, honestly. Yeah.
So you were hired. Look, well, I'm just gonna jump into Monotronics because that's where we met. That was your second job after coming to Dallas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is the first place where you're around a group of people that kind of help you in a way, like Abe. You mentioned Abe.
Yeah. Abraham, Ricky was a real big influence to me. Dan Gibson.
What did you see different being around these guys from like what you were used to?
Well, Ricky, he was like a free spirited kind of guy. And even though he knew what to do, if he really wanted to do something, whether it would get him in trouble or not, he would still do it.
Yeah.
You know, so I really admire his boldness.
Okay.
When it comes, even though he was helping me, hey, don't get fired. I might get fired, but you don't get fired.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of guy that would say, hey, I don't have children. I don't have a wife.
Right.
I can get fired.
Right.
But you can't get fired. That's the kind of guy Ricky was, man.
I remember Ricky so well.
Yeah, so he was helping me, even though he was also on the brink of getting fired. He stayed in trouble.
Yes, yes. Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have outings and you start meeting different people here.
You know, as you talk and ask questions about that group really had a big impact on my life. You know, it kind of made me have a bond outside of my family circle. You know, and also my wife can tell you at the time we were really dealing with some very, very real personal issues, and in our family. And it was my outlet to really kind of like settle things down and have a balance in my life. And, they kind of forced me to go out with him and to drink and to talk and and it was really good for me.
Let loose a little
It
bit.
was really good for me.
Yeah. Okay. Were you much of did you have many friends growing up?
Yes, back in the Queens in my neighborhood, yes. But when my parents separated, I cut everybody off.
Oh,
I
okay.
cut everybody off.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Why was that? Was it just kind of like it was just like what you were feeling, or like why
Well,
do you think, like, because some people look for friends, but you cut everybody off?
yeah, because I didn't think that my family had a image that measured up to what my friends had.
Oh, okay.
So, so I just cut everybody off.
Okay. So then you're here in Dallas, and you just kind of like land into a good culture.
Yes, it was a good fit for me, a good fit for my wife and my kids. We all six of us really flourished in Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think got you to the next promotion, which was supervisor there at that department where you almost got fired? What do you think was the key for you to take that spot?
Okay, I want to say this because people outside of my circle with my wife and kids don't really know what we have dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And even you, and this is going to be a big surprise to you about
Okay.
what I'm about to say. So in 2015 was when I think applied for that position.
Okay.
That year, we were homeless.
Where were you living?
In a what you call it? Those suites, those weekly hotel things.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
We
Was that one of those moments where you lost everything overnight?
Yeah, yeah.
One of the kind of things.
It happened while I was working at Monotronics too. Yeah. But like I told you, I always continue to work. That's been my motto, Myra. So it doesn't matter what goes on. I'm going to continue. And that year when I applied for that role with John Smith, and I was going up against some very smart individuals on my team, I didn't have my own place.
Stop.
And so I was like, okay, this will really give me a boost. And it'll help me financially, and I think that I would be a good pick for this, And a lot of people at Monotronics emailed me with this role open up. People in customer service, CTS, and other coworkers and dealer support. Hey man, we want you to be our boss. So I applied for it, and I got it. At the time, I didn't see anything change in my situation, but I continued to lead the people at Monotronics, and I began to see, my whole life change, and I see things building back up. We got our place again. We got things flourishing. We saving. My credit build back up, and it was an awesome experience to see all of this unfold. From nothing. That's why, I don't like to hear people say that, I just gave up. Dude, just keep working. Just keep working. If you can work, you can continue.
Can I drop this mic? Yeah, no, serious. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And nobody know that until they see this podcast. All of my friends at work never knew that.
You are the one applying for this promotion in the midst of whatever's going on in your personal life. You do what you need to do. You go through the process as every other applicant did to get a job or a promotion, and you get it. How did that feel?
That felt great. I felt a huge connection with my team, a connection with John Smith. And John Smith knew of...
By the way, John Smith is not like a John Smith name we're getting, huh?
Yeah.
Like it is a John Smith.
This is a real name.
It is his real name. Sorry, yeah.
He knew of a thing that I did years ago that was a huge mistake. And so when he offered me this position, he said, Jesse, all right, you can't do that again.
Okay.
So I'm like, hey, bro, I got you. All right. So I'm gonna do a great job, and I won't let you down. Mm-hmm. So the guy, he gave me a chance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gave me a chance. Yeah.
A chance.
Yep.
That's all you need sometimes is just a chance. I'm assuming you were disciplined, especially after writing that letter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, and so what does discipline look like for you?
Being disciplined to me really means being patient, because I don't think that you can be disciplined if you don't understand what patience is. So you want something in your life, but it can't happen when you first want it. You have to get positioned to actually get that place in your life, and it takes a process. And, I didn't know what process was back then. But so being disciplined to me is actually being patient enough to give that process a chance to present that thing to you.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I was very, very, very patient. I learned patience while working there.
Okay. While working there.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because I moved to Texas in 2 days. And a lot of my decisions I didn't have patience. I didn't have a process. I didn't have a plan. But while working there, I learned how to plan, because leading people, you can't do that while leading people. You have to have a plan, a strategy, and a process. And they're actually asking you for a process.
Right.
How do I get this done and get it resolved? Well, a resolution comes with the process. So I had to learn how to be patient, have a process, have a plan, and present that plan to my team, to myself, my career, my family. And even though it was just my job, I mean, it really taught me other things in life, and everything about my life grew when I positioned myself to be patient and have a plan and a strategy, and to sit myself, I almost say ass, sit myself down somewhere and actually do it and make a plan and see it done.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important. And I feel like the crazy thing is that, like, the world is always changing, right? We ourselves, we're getting older, so we are also changing. Or the people around us are also getting older, so they're also changing,
Right. Right.
right? So that it's not like, oh, you make a plan, you're good for the rest of your life. It's like, no, you got to make a plan, but you got to keep adjusting,
Absolutely. Yes.
because not only you, but everything else around you is changing.
Yeah.
So the plan that you had maybe 5 years or 10 years or 20 years
May not work.
may not work anymore.
Yeah.
You're growing a lot in this company, yet you're still struggling at home. How was that conversation?
So something happened.
Okay.
And when that happened, I just felt like that me and her wasn't a good fit
Okay.
anymore. And we had a talk. And I'm going to say this, she didn't agree with that. She
Okay.
always thought that we should work it out.
Okay.
But I just felt like that wherever we were experiencing it in our relationship was going to continue.
Okay.
So I was the one that filed the divorce.
Okay.
And so, she's, smart enough to know that, okay, well, I'm not going to hang around with this guy if he wants a divorce,
Right.
So she left, so that's really how the conversation, it wasn't tense. We didn't have an argument. We both signed the papers. It was peaceful, we just went our separate ways,
Okay. Okay. And then, okay, so you have some time that it seems. Would you recommend some alone time for anyone that's having any sort of tough situation right now? Like, would you recommend that alone time?
Yeah, but let me say it like this. So I don't recommend a long time if your mind is not right,
Okay.
because a someone who doesn't think properly, someone who has mental issues, should not be alone.
Okay.
Okay, so someone who's been traumatized as a child, other things, you don't need to be alone. But if someone is solid enough, they see things clearly. They have always had direction, a path. They have structure in their life. They're mature about certain things. You may be okay being by yourself and having a time to break away from all the chaos and think about some things and see what you want to do next, because you're healthy,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But everyone isn't blessed to be that healthy, So if you're not that healthy, maybe you shouldn't be alone. So I wasn't a good fit to be alone.
Okay.
All right. So, but I struggled with connecting with people because I didn't like who I was. So when I would talk to people, especially other male factors,
Okay.
I would compare myself to them. And but yeah, so DTS and in my previous role allowed me to loosen that up and to connect with other guys like me.
Okay.
So I was able to kind of see myself and who I was to myself and to them. So, but yeah, it was a pretty long process.
So you went through it, yet you wouldn't recommend it for somebody like you.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, because when you spent so many years only dealing with your own circle, you know, and everything in your life is only about your marriage, your kids, your job, and surviving. You don't really exactly know what the next step looks like because you're so busy trying to survive that next day. You know, I just didn't really understand what that looks like.
Okay.
And then, you know, on top of that, I was traumatized, you know, so I had a little soft spot, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, so, and I also don't really believe in counseling then.
Okay.
I think it's great now as I've been through some things. You know.
Okay.
But then I never believed in counseling and having someone to talk to.
Why?
I just didn't see how that would benefit me a whole lot. And counseling is expensive. I tell anybody if it's cheap, it's not the best. You know, unless they really love you. If it's cheap, it's somebody who loves you, you know you personally, a family member or someone else, you know, help pay for that for you. But usually the best counselors are the ones that it costs. It costs.
Okay. Okay. So did you have some counseling experience before that you maybe developed that thought that maybe counseling is really not? And I say that because I won't say their names, but like I know people have gone through counseling and have the same opinion. Like it's not
Yeah.
helpful.
One situation, me and my wife went to counseling. I won't call any names or the doctors or whatever, but we were sitting talking with her, and as we shared with her our story, she dropped her pen and paper and said, "Why the hell are you all married? Why are y'all together?"
That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Did it sound more like a rhetorical question? Or did it sound like she wanted to know the answer?
She didn't care about the answer. I think what we presented was too much for her to
Process.
Yeah.
And handle.
Yeah. So her way out was give up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 I can see that.
Yeah. So that was my last time giving counseling a try.
Okay. Did you ever seek for counseling, even if it was not like,
Yes.
say professional, like say maybe a friend or whoever?
Yeah. I actually seek for counseling last year.
Okay.
Things were good. Me and my wife, we were doing great. But I wanted to talk to somebody about some things I wanted to do in my life, you know. And, I know how this is going to sound, but I wanted a black counselor.
Okay.
Okay. I tried other ones, and I wanted, a black guy to talk to me.
Do you feel like somebody like that would probably understand you better and guide you better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And they are hard to find.
They're hard to find.
Hard to find, or if you find them, they're so booked, or they're not in your area. You got to drive. It's just hard to find someone that looks like me to talk to me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do?
I just gave up.
You just gave up. You went to yourself.
No, I went to a pastor in Denton.
Okay.
And he's been very helpful. He still is helpful, even though I'm stubborn and don't really reach out to him. But he is still helpful.
Okay.
Even today, because he sends me text messages, "Hey, how you doing? he still got that connection, even though I'm the one that's not reaching back out.
Okay.
He still exists.
Okay.
So he's great.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. And that makes so much sense, because it's like, if somebody's going to help you, and you had to kind of break through, like, okay, they're going to get paid, right? But it's like, how is it that they're going to help me? I mean, I have to tell them what's going on in a certain amount of time, because they're getting paid hourly.
Right.
Right? So you have to explain, and they have to process that information.
Correct.
And they have to kind of understand what's going on. And that's going to be the key, right? It's like understanding what's going on. So because they can't help you if they don't understand, just like when you were doing you were presenting your CDs to these people, and they were telling you stuff and you didn't understand.
Didn't have a clue.
It's like, how are you going to change it if you don't understand? So if you talk to somebody that doesn't understand, how are they going to change it for the better? Anyways,
right.
They can change it, it's just for what you're looking for, which is for the better, right? Okay. Yeah. That's.
And my last attempt was, you fill out a form online, and they ask you questions about what you're looking for in your doctor, and everything I presented, African American, this and that, whatever, and I got a reply back. It wasn't who I asked for, so but I understand.
Right.
They couldn't find him either.
Right. Yeah. Right. So would you say growing up African American do you feel like it's more hurdles to jump through?
In some areas.
In some areas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that used to be my gospel at one point, saying that, it's harder being who I am. It's harder being who I am. But I've met so many other people who are not Black. They go through sometimes even more stuff than I went through. So I don't say that anymore.
Okay.
Because it's
you've seen enough. To kind of break that personal truth.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It may not be my story, but
right.
It was very traumatic for them. And I saw it and witnessed it and said, wow, dude, that's pretty bad.
Okay. So you kind of, you knew that excuse was no longer valid.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I think it makes you even more resilient, because now you don't have an excuse. So what do you do now? Keep working.
I keep working, because I want to continue. So it doesn't really matter what happens in your life, in my life. I feel like that my driving force of me being successful is me continuing to work. And it doesn't matter what type of job it was. Any job I had, what kind of money it was, I just kept working and things got better.
Did you treat your jobs differently based on how much you earned?
No.
Never.
No, never.
Wow. So in your head, it's, you got to give it all.
Right. It was just, a part of me, basically.
Yeah. Okay. And in 2020, you have this conversation with your wife where she breaks down. And
that happened in 2021.
2021. Okay. That's right. Because you separated in 2020.
Yeah.
You have a conversation with her. It's 2021. And you mentioned you got like lit up, fired up. And so what do you do next after this conversation you have with her? And she's really upset. Sounds like.
No, she was hurt and stranded.
Hurt and stranded.
Yeah, she wasn't angry and upset. She was hurt, stranded, and lost.
Okay. That's what you saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not what she spoke.
Right.
That's what she presented without speaking.
That's what you saw.
Yeah.
That's what you felt.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do next? This is late at night. Was it you were
It was
dropping off?
Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of got more engaged and focused on making sure that she was okay.
Okay.
And then after about maybe 2 or 3 weeks, it kind of unfolded into me thinking about her more than what I used to.
Okay.
Because you got to think about it. You know, I've known her since she was 12.
Right.
So when we got a divorce, I had to force myself to not think about her.
How'd you do that?
Drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I drank a lot. I made music, and
Was she in your music?
in the past, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And like in my words?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so when that happened, when we talked that Sunday afternoon, it kind of woke up those boundaries and that old self. And, you know, it was just kind of hard for me to resist, to kind of keep reaching out.
Pursue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long until you have a conversation with her that starts the conversation of trying again?
So we were talking one weekend, and she has a boyfriend, right?
Oh, so she still has a boyfriend. Okay, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, and he's a good guy, actually. You know, so she wasn't not happy because of him. It was some other things going on, and we kind of talked, and I just felt like that I needed her back in my life, you know, because me and her both experienced some things being, you know, divorced and separated, and I cared a lot about her. And so, like I said earlier, I'm just being real. You know, it was hard for me to just help only and not do anything else because I really, really cared about her.
Did you feel she cared about you too?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She's the kind that don't play games with her heart or anything like that. If she loves you, she really loves you. So she's not a game player. She's pretty transparent with that. So.
Okay. So then she had moved back home. So, and then does she decide to move back over here with you? Or
This happened in Dallas because in 2020, when she moved back home, a few months later, she moved back to Texas.
Okay.
And she was independent. She was, you know, she was single in Texas.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So she was dating here in Dallas. Oh, okay. So yeah, this has been tougher for you.
Why is that for me?
I don't know. It's tough, you know? It's like in the same, it's like at least when somebody's like far away, it's like, okay, they're far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, okay. When did you get your sons? Was it when she was over back home or when they were already back here in Dallas?
She was in Mississippi.
Okay.
I went and got them and brought them back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then she came over here, but were you still living with your sons and she was living with her daughters? Okay.
Right.
Okay. 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 So, and you guys start talking, and how does that go? Do you guys start actually dating?
Oh no. We had a talk, and I asked her to just think about some things, you know, because she had her own life going, you know, doing well. She started a bakery, a catering company, you know, baking cupcakes and cakes and catering for people's events and all that. So she was doing pretty well.
Okay.
So I said, you know, kind of, you know, make a decision. You know, if you want to try it again, I do. At the time, I didn't have anybody else, but she had a boyfriend. So she left me. She walked. She thought about some things, and he came back and said, "You have always had my heart." And so she just gave it a try.
How did that feel for you?
Scary.
Scary.
Yeah, because I didn't think trying it again after you had got a divorce a year ago. It kind of seems like you don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
Because you don't go through that drastic measure of leaving someone and then try it again in 12 months.
Okay.
You know,
Did you feel like it was kind of like a responsibility, or what? Why was this? I mean, what else was it scary about it?
well, because previously I didn't really put enough thought into the things that we did before when we tried to do it again. We left and came back, try to make it work. I didn't seek help. I didn't seek guidance or counseling. So I just was wondering if I was actually in my right frame of mind when I made that decision.
Okay, so were you more concerned of yourself if you're in the right place? Were you thinking of like for them, like just
It was really a selfish
okay,
kind of thing where
okay,
I was thinking, just making sure that it was a good thing for me.
okay,
Okay.
okay?
So, and I wasn't really clear on that, which is why I was kind of frightened about it.
That makes sense.
You know, but I just realized that it was a good move.
Okay,
I think what happened in 2020 in that moment, that whole year, it led us both back to a place where we had more of a clear mind about things and about life. Because we never dated before, never had a chance to really experience life before. We were young, got married young. So in that 12-month time frame, we experienced a lot that some people experience when they're young.
right,
Okay.
right.
All right. So we got our hands dirty, tried things, crazy stuff, and we came back and had much more of an understanding of what goes on in other areas of life, and we had a clear mind about certain things.
Okay, okay,
It's been pretty cool now, Mayra.
yeah.
We're having some fun.
Look, I'm watching you, and
Yeah.
you've never looked any like better, and like
Yeah, it's been amazing.
okay, I want to hear more about that. So you guys decide to work it out. Obviously, you've already invested time in writing and writing notes and stuff. So if you've already kind of done a lot of thinking, right? So what happens next? Because right, like I want to know how you got to where you are now. So you're writing music. You decide to give it another shot.
Yeah.
How does she complement in your world now? Like how does she come in and fit in? Like how does your life change now with her in your life again?
Let me share this, and then because it'll bring that point out a whole lot more clear. While we were separated and divorced, I saw from a distance that she started her own business, and to me that was pretty amazing because she's been in a shell for so long. So when I saw that she was baking cupcakes and doing her own thing like that, I thought it was just awesome. And she came to visit me, and we talked about her business, and I thought it was just so cool. And I began to feel some attraction again, but I didn't say anything. Okay. She kind of kept that same frame of mind of being independent, wanting her own company, her own business, and that had a lot to do with me wanting to try again, other than me just loving her, because that was already there. Me loving her, thinking she's awesome, but she brought that extra piece to the table.
Okay.
And so it kind of wasn't just, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm your wife, I support your career, I'm gonna keep the kids. But she actually had that hunger to make a difference in the world, have her business, cater and be great at it. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
So she brought that to the table and made me want to revisit making my studio and my music career an official business. Okay. So we kind of brought that to the table and we just ran with that. And that's really like a real big piece of why we have so much fun. And also we stopped worrying about what other people say or about us. When you don't care about what people say about your life, you can really have a whole lot of fun. You know? And I'm not the kind of guy that likes to live two lives or live my life in a secret so you won't know what I'm doing. That's so stupid to me. I mean, why are you keeping your happy place a secret so others won't know what you're really doing?
Right.
And so many people do that. So I'm like, so my life isn't a secret. All right. So even though I know you mean well about what you think I should do, you mean well. I respect that. You respect me. But it can't go no further than that. Okay. So we're going to have some fun the way we want to, because this time it has to work.
Right.
This time it has to work. So that means that we have to cut ties with people's opinions, and we look on the inside to see what we want to create this happy place. And we're going to go full speed ahead with it. And that's what we've been doing.
Yeah. I think that is so key.
It is.
Like getting to that point where you realize that, where, you know what, I'm just gonna forget, not even spend time, because that's really it, right? Like, it's really time. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody has 24 hours in the day. And when that time is going to get cut off for you, nobody knows. Some people make it to where they make it to the elderly stages. Some people do, some people don't. The people that do, from what I've seen, is like, it's like if they say anything, they mention time.
Yeah.
Like time, whatever it is that their advice is of their learnings, time is in that conversation, right? So, like, you think about, like, okay, thinking about what other people think, you're spending time.
It's a waste of time. Yeah.
So you can either spend time thinking about something that you have no control over.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
To, like, okay, thinking and then doing what it is that you want to do to live the life you want to live. Because at the end of the day, you have to come home. You'll go to bed at some time, and then you get stuck with your own thoughts. And whatever it is that you collected out in the world during the day or time, or whatever it is, social time you had out there, like, at the end of the day, you come home and you have to deal with yourself. Over there, you have to deal with them a few moments, a few hours, a few minutes, whatever it is. But you always deal with your own self.
Yeah, but you know, Mayra, for quite a few people, their goal is to please others.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think do you think their goal is to please others, or do you think they haven't thought about their own?
Well, yeah. I mean, so it's a reason for that, which is not healthy.
Okay.
But for a lot of people, their goal, and they're happy when someone is pleased or they agree with what they're doing or they like what they're doing. That's their happy place for a lot of people. And they don't want to disappoint people.
They don't want to disappoint. I think that thought is built on fear. And I do agree with you. I think a lot of people do live life that way.
And it is scary, right? I mean, fear is a part of it. You're exactly right. Because when you make a decision to not put that as a priority, I mean, at some point you have to incorporate other people's opinions into what you're doing, especially if their advice is good advice, right? But who you are and what you want out of life is supposed to matter a whole lot, right? All right. So at some point when you make a decision to not let that be the ultimate one-all thing be all, and what you want in life is number one, at that moment you become lonely. It's like instantly you get cut off and you're by yourself, right? Because a lot of family and friends attachments is based off of, will you accept what I say to you?
Right.
Right. And they kind of mean well, but it really is a burden, we won't really have a lot of peace. We're going to come by, we're going to eat turkey for Thanksgiving and other things. We're going to talk, we're going to be cordial, we're going to be decent people, but, I told you to do this and, you didn't really do it. If these people really mean a lot to you, it causes tension, right? So when you go on and do things that you like to do, to them, it's like you don't care who they are.
Right.
You're not even trying to communicate that.
Right.
You're just doing you, right? But it automatically cuts them off like that drastically.
Yeah.
And you just become lonely. Right.
Yeah. No, I understand. And I feel like this type of like mentality or this type of thinking, it's because we're really not taught. Like, because think about it, like if it's even like just like when you get in an airplane, right? You hear the instructions of like before the airplane takes off. What do they say? If anything happens, put like the mask, put it on yourself before you put it even on your child, right? So that means take care of yourself before you take care of somebody else, because you can't help somebody else if you can't help yourself first.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right.
So like I feel like
why that mindset causes so much problems in relationships?
Why?
I don't understand why that causes so much problems when you put yourself first.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because it depends on the intention. Right? So like if you're being, because some people may confuse that to being selfish for yourself, right? Like, oh, I'm being but you can be like I think like there's different types of selfishness. Like you can be selfish towards yourself. You can be selfish towards your family.
Yeah.
You can be selfish towards your community. You can be selfish towards your country. But the narrower you close it in, like, oh, I'm going to be narrow for myself only.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make you, I don't care what happens to you as long as this happens to me. I think that's where the confusion is. Right. But if you're right. But then if you're like, hey, like, let me take a pause. Like I need to work on like myself to like there's an intention, right? Like, I don't care if you're hurt as long as I'm okay. Or there is like, hey, I want to help you, but let me get there so I can help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like it's selfish, but it's a different type of selfishness, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's something about that. So you have you said you've you've been you've received help through your father and some other of like building your own studio, which is where you've been able to kind of flow your juices, your creative juices. So at the time, your ex-wife is starting her own business, she's doing well, you're inspired. And so now, like, I guess I want to get to like you're a rapper, right? So then you just you're writing all this stuff. So what do you think? Like, okay, you have something you want to say. So what do you do next?
Well, right now, I'm just trying to develop a way to communicate who I am
Okay.
and trying to present it as a entertaining piece, right? Because
Okay.
because I also want it to be entertaining,
Okay.
you know. So I don't want to be just like a boring MC that's rapping over music and all these words, but they can't party to it, you know. So I kind of want to present it where my craft and my music and my story is presented in a way where they can listen, they can get fed off of it, they feel fulfilled about my story, inspired, motivated, but at the same time, not too sad, but still happy enough and some kind of positive vibe to go and do something, and also to accept who they are as their story,
Okay.
because some people like to wipe their story away and start back over. And I think everyone should embrace their story, even if it's real bad. You have to really embrace it because you are who you are because that happened.
Right.
So if you erase your story, you're also erasing who you are.
Right.
So you got to be very, very careful with that. So I want to be a rapper that give my story to my fans and my truth. Okay, so you will never hear me rap about having all this money. You won't see any big fancy, Italian car in my videos because I've never owned one. So these are also people who are trying to present someone different than who they are to their fans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you will never hear me rap about, going out in the streets and killing people, and being in a gang and all that. I've never done that, right? And so that's not really popular to me. It's going to be my truth. All right. So I worked very hard to provide for my family. I experienced things in my life very young with my family, trauma. I know about church and religion. I know about helping people walk on the streets. I know about raising kids. I know about the ups and downs of a marriage. I know how hard it can get when you're in your career trying to climb the corporate ladder. And I know how it is to go to college and still have a full-time job and raise a family, trying to complete your school. I did all of that, and all of these things are going to be in my story. All right, so I think it's challenging for someone who wants to accept that as their content and make it entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so writing it isn't really hard because I know my story.
Okay. Right.
But trying to arrange it in a way and present it where it can be played at somebody's party is a challenge.
Okay. I see. And that's the journey, right?
Yeah, that I'm on now. Right?
Yes.
Right now. Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
Right. So,
Yes.
okay. I'm telling you, like, I think I mentioned this earlier. Like I listened to it before when you shared it in social media. I did listen to it, and I was listening to it more this morning. Logan, why don't you go ahead and play one of the songs, or the song that's on Spotify?
Okay.
Born from the womb, few days full of trouble. My future looks bright, but I had a couple stumbles. I got big dreams, wanna be on the top. It's hard for a nigga, but I just can't stop. I'm gonna make it big, how I thought so much. I dropped higher learning just to work on my truck. I had no luck, ain't nothing going right. I'm working all day, but I can't see the light. All that hustling, but I'm still struggling. Drama and problems kept me suffering. Pitch my beats, nobody bought shit. It felt so heavy like carrying bricks. So all damn day and into the night, I didn't back down till my game got tight. I never gave up, gotta keep on running. I knew that one day that my time was coming. My time
You write the beat
now,
for
I'm
this?
feeling
I
so
did.
high.
I
Countdown,
composed everything.
take off, watch me fly. Hop on a jet, gonna aim for the sky. Rockstar status, baby, I'm
played
that
every
guy.
instrument.
Lost everything that I had in one night. I kept on hustling.
you
and
actually-
didn't
you played
lose
the
fight.
instruments
I
too?
got
Every
knocked
instrument.
down, but I
Okay.
didn't break easy. Got my ass up, told God don't leave me. Needed more dough, but I couldn't find shit. I packed my bags and moved real quick. Just look around, everything's bigger. I'm that nigga with a finger on the trigger. Shooting my shot, aiming for success. Shot high as I can, like a rocket. Life fought back, but I didn't back down. I'm on top, and it's my time now. My time now, I'm feeling so high.
And how I end the
Countdown,
song
take
is
off,
me trying
watch
to
me fly.
incorporate
Hop on
the
a
fact that
jet,
I'm
gonna
celebrating.
aim for the sky.
It's
Rockstar
happening.
status, baby,
So
I'm
now let's
that
go
guy.
party.
Okay.
I'm feeling so high.
I see.
Countdown, take off, watch me fly. Hop on a jet, gonna aim for the sky. Rockstar status, baby, I'm that guy. Pour me a glassy rock on the rocks. Let's go up, celebrate rooftop. DJ gone, let it play, don't stop. Everybody on the dance floor, make it pop. Back it up, baby, let me see you work. Jiggle it, baby, let me see you twerk. Don't stop now, girl, clap, clap, clap. Sit it on down on my lappy lap, lap. Ass so soft, just right for a boss. Bend over while your legs
time now.
crisscross. Give her that real deep from the back. Grabbing her waist and work it like that. My time now, I'm feeling so high. Countdown, take off, watch me fly. Hop on a jet, gonna aim for the sky. Rockstar status, baby, I'm that guy.
That's it.
Honestly, I can see so much more of that song now. like I listened to it, quite a few times. But this conversation really enhances your song. It's
Yeah, it's my truth, for real.
this is the first song you put out on is it like Spotify?
Oh yeah, Spotify, YouTube, Tidal, Apple Music, Amazon. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Yes.
And how long have you been writing these lyrics?
Well, that particular song has like 5 versions.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like 5 different arrangements, 5 versions, and also different verses and words until that happened in 2021. Excuse me. And I dropped the whole, scary thought of people not liking who I am.
Right.
I wrote a different version, and I played it a different way because Jesse had changed.
Okay.
And so I decided to go ahead and let this be my first release. Now, people who really understand how to properly market music, Mayra, you're not really taught to release content like this for the first time. It has to be something very commercial
Okay.
that they can play on the radio, that is some type of a, universal theme that everyone can kind of relate
Right.
to kind of get it out there, get popular, very quick. But, I am kind of stubborn, right? So I wanted my story to be the first print, blueprint or imprint of my music career. I want to start off with people knowing who I am.
Okay.
And then I'm going to incorporate, other things. But you're going to first know Jesse Dale Queens.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. So there's like 5 different versions of this.
It sounds different beat, slower, quicker, different words, introductions, outgoing. Yeah.
And you make the beats.
Yes.
Okay. How long did it take you to finish or not finish, but
be okay with me letting
Yes. Yes.
it go. My wife pushed me to go ahead and release it
Mm.
because I would still be working on it now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So she kind of like, go ahead and upload it, let it go.
Yeah.
No more changing, because I like changing things. I hear things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think any artist kind of go through that,
Okay.
never really finish. You kind of like want to keep adding to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your goal? What is your vision?
My goal is to be known, be exposed, and I want the number one spot.
Okay.
And I feel like Dallas needs to be exposed and be number one. Right. I think LA had his chance. I think New York had his chance. Florida, rappers do real big in Atlanta, and Memphis and Philadelphia and, in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. But I think Dallas needs its chance to really be number one and be there for a while. Not like, okay, yeah, this kid, whatever, is doing good in Dallas, and then next year you don't hear about him again. Okay?
Right.
I want to be number one for a while to a point where I make an imprint and a legacy for the city of Dallas.
Yes.
All right. So, which means, and this kind of goes back to my training in electronics, I know how to properly represent a city where a city can use me. Okay. And I kind of feel like a city and state cannot use you if you're out killing, if you're out, selling drugs and getting people's families broken up because they're strung out on things that you sold them, and you don't know how to fully be a good citizen. And you're not a person that provides for your family, your children. You understand what it means to be, in a country where you need to represent and to bring things to the table where the country can flourish. So even though I have my story, I want to be able to be used so Dallas can use me to bring out this message, right? To have fun, be who you want to be in life, and try to exist in everything that's going on, right?
Yes. Yes. And I think that is so important.
Yeah.
And I really look forward to it because maybe the world doesn't know you yet, but like me knowing you and kind of diving into this pool with the background you have of and not only, I mean, yes, the background and the journey through that background, like where you grew up, how you grew up, what you've been through, and where you're going. I feel like it's kind of like that link where you mentioned sometimes you just can't find maybe that one person that can connect with you to maybe really help you with whatever it is that's going on, that really understands you.
Yeah.
That can really get in your shoes and really maybe help you turn your situation around.
Yeah.
And I feel like, right? Like in a way, like this is maybe you, that one person, that maybe that one kid right now, it's in the room and they can like connect with.
Yeah.
Because you're not just a rapper right now that just been in the rapping come up. Like, no, it was like a strict household.
Yeah.
Church, you and I think you even mentioned that in your bio, how you bring that uniqueness. Yeah. Even your background, even as a musician,
yeah.
Right? You play different instruments.
Different genres of music.
Different genres.
Yeah.
Different story. And then out of that, it's coming, this is your art out of that.
Yeah.
This is the art happening out of that. And I love that. You know, because it's like you don't want to talk to somebody that has like the same story as everybody, or maybe the story they want to tell that's being told already over and over and over again, or whatever it is. You know, like this is you,
Yeah.
and you are real. These are your struggles, and that's the thing. Like everybody has struggles. You know, earlier we were talking about like what inspired me to do a podcast. It's like everybody has struggles. Everybody has like a story. Some are more traumatic maybe than others. But at the end of the day, if somebody else it's going through it, and like even like says they hear the story, they're about to give up, and they hear like a message like yours, like, hey, all I gotta do is just keep going. You know, like just keep working.
Just keep working.
That I think it's what's beautiful. And it's like I think even I mentioned Jim earlier, and
about some people do, some don't.
Yes. And he talks about like just worrying about the outcome. Like if you worry about the outcome, you're just worrying about something you can't control. Right. If you worry about where it is that you want to go, the key is to really keep trying no matter how many, because every time you don't get the outcome that you want to get, a lot of people may call that a failure. Yeah. It's not a failure, right? That means if you tried it and didn't get it, it means that there was something you didn't see. There was something in your blind spot that you have to go back and figure out what that is. And maybe there's a lot of things in that blind spot, right?
Could be, yeah.
And it's like, okay, I figured out a few things, and then you go back and you keep trying it until maybe it's the 1,001st try that you finally get it. But if you gave up on the 1,000th time just because it was 1,000th time,
yeah,
then
I like how you put that, because I think that things that people want out of life that they really, really want are very difficult or challenging to get. Because if you think about it, if they wanted it and it wasn't challenging, they would have had it already, right? So I think things that you don't have require character that you don't have. I think they both work hand in hand.
yes.
If you don't have it, you also don't have something, a part of you,
Right.
that requires you to get that.
Right.
Yeah. So as you walk towards it and work towards it, you're also building that character to be in a position to get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. 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 And so it's kind of like you have to work to put yourself in that position, because if that position comes and you didn't work for it and you're not ready for it, somebody else is going to take it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what are you working on right now?
More music. And we're trying to get to a place, me and my wife, where we have our own venue and our own event center.
Okay.
Somewhere in Dallas. So we're talking with some people that own property and people who've been doing what we're trying to do to learn from them. Mm-hmm. But this whole journey with, making music and getting out there in the scene, and her catering really taught us a lot. Even with me, Mayra, trying to collab with other artists. It's like a thing now where you message or chat people to join you on your journey and so you both can grow together. Mm-hmm. They will simply not respond to you. They would simply not respond to you, even though what you're doing, they see you working and hustling and doing a good job. And some of them are not even far along as you are, and they still have the audacity to not communicate. So it has taught me to kind of like connect with people who are like-minded, and people who, if they say something, they're going to do it. If they don't like it, You know, I like when people tell me, well, no, I'm not into that. Okay, cool.
Cool.
I move on,
Right.
you know, and I just want people to communicate.
Right.
But just to be ghosted and, you know, you chat with people, they don't respond to you. And it's like a real big thing now.
Right.
People don't respond.
Yes.
And then some will respond to you on a post, but not to you directly.
That is a world we're in right now.
That's what I deal with in the music scene. You know.
Okay.
Most of them, you know, hey, I got a beat, I got a song, you know, hop on it with me, you know, and, you know, I've contacted so many artists in Dallas, even for our event that we're having on February 11th, to join the stage with me. You know, let's grow together, let's get exposed together. I'll pay for the marketing, I'll do all of that. Nobody responded.
Nobody.
Except for one group. And he's a part of the flyer. So me and my wife and this other guy. But I've contacted countless of other artists in Dallas. And they don't even have the audacity to even respond back and say, no, not for me.
Really? And these are artists that are also in the come up or trying to make it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, you know, hey, I think that is great news for you.
Yeah.
Like, that is great news for you because some people don't have the discipline you do.
I like that.
Like, think about it. Like, that could be their, imagine if you contacting them was their ticket for like the breakthrough ticket, right? And they couldn't even say, hey, no, sorry, like I'm busy or I have whatever, right? Like just not communicating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is good to know.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like saying like, it's like that's your, in a sense, I mean, it's kind of like your teammates, but it's also your competition at the same time. It's kind of like me training jujitsu, right? It's like when I train with my opponent, it's like we're kind of competing at the same time, but we're teammates, really. We're in the same,
I get it. Yeah.
we're in the same world together, trying to get better at this craft.
Right.
So writing music, are you writing any music with your wife right now?
Yes, and during this process, she's transitioning from only a R&B singer to a rapper as well.
Okay.
So I think I'm also inspiring her.
Okay. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. So she's rapping now, and so our fans is really in for a treat when we have our event on February 11th.
February 11th.
On the stage rapping with me. We got some good music coming.
Okay, where's this at?
At a venue in Garland, Texas. It's a studio that has a stage and a little place where we can have a bar set up and everything. So their stage, it's like a small venue type where it holds about 100 people.
Okay.
And they also have a little studio recording booth and all that, but they rent out their stage for people who wants to do like a music video or whatever, but we're using it for a release party.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to be up there with a band and DJ, and she's going to cater it, you know, and people who want to come, you know, we're not really charging people. They can just come and kind of like you go to our website and reserve a ticket. It's called a ticket because it's just a ticket.
Right.
You got to have a ticket.
Right.
You know, but people who go in and reserve, they'll still give money towards our endeavors.
Okay.
So we have fans.
Okay.
Even though we just started, we have fans and people like us that like people who are moving and making a difference and actually following their dreams and investing in themselves.
Yes.
Not having their hand out, but they're actually putting money into themselves to make their dreams alive. You know, so
yes.
yeah. It's on my website, jpossemedia.com.
Okay.
Just click the release party link there. It'll show you all the address and everything and how to get ready for that.
J Posse Medium?
J Posse.
J Posse.
Posse like a Western posse.
Okay.
Like an outlaw posse.
Okay.
J Posse Media.
Okay. Very nice.
I love Western. I love Western. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So how can I find you?
I put a lot of thought in my name because when people search for me, I want only me coming up. So if you search Jesse Dale Queens, well, if you search Jesse Queens, you could get a designer of some blue jeans. So if you search Jesse Dale Queens, you'll get the rapper in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
Whether
Okay.
on Google, Spotify, YouTube, I'm the only one that's Jesse Dale Queens.
Yes.
So
Okay. Very nice. And you're on Instagram.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, we're still, and then, but I really like to get more traffic on my website because Facebook and Instagram is, wants to make money off of us.
Right. Right.
Which is cool. I met a lot of people on Facebook and Instagram, but I always encourage everyone to make sure that you point traffic to your own website because that's where you really can grow on your own website.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So we'll put that on the description.
Okay.
And then Jesse, I'm curious to know, everybody has different definitions of what like happiness means. There might be one like generic one for everyone, but like what is your definition of happiness?
All right. So I'm very simple. I'm a very simple guy. So happiness to me is when your life makes sense, it's transparent, and it's true. You're happy. It doesn't matter the quantity of what you have or whatever. If your life makes sense with what you want, if it just makes sense, period. And it's transparent, which means that you see who you are and the people outside of you also sees. Because transparent is both ways. So if it makes sense, it's transparent, and it's true, I think you're happy.
Thank you tremendously for being here, accepting my invite.
Glad to be here. Yeah.
And sharing your story. That is sometimes, aside from all the hard things that happen, sometimes that is also another hard thing to do, which is sharing your story in itself. And so I really want to thank you for sharing that with us. I am the lucky one, to kind of hear it here firsthand. And I'm so excited for you and for your future and for your wives. And I mean, you have the discipline to just say, just keep working.
Just keep working.
I mean, what else, right?
Yeah.
Like what, like
It will get better if you just keep working.
Yeah. I love it. Well, we'll end on that. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And till next time, we'll have to have another podcast.
Looking forward to it.
For sure. All right.